GM. Okay. Well, if y'all give me like 5 minutes, I thought about pushing back the space a tiny bit more. I could not find my other phone when I was trying to unpack to get everything set up. Finally did. So it is currently charging right now. Here in a little bit, I'll have the Kaleo account up too. Either way, I will gladly speak to the void of the 7 of y'all that are here and ramble about whatever. But if one of you guys want to join in the meantime, great. If not, no worries. Again, I'll hop on here and however long it takes to charge a dead phone and get the other one up. And then I can at least go back and forth and pretend to talk to myself. Maybe I'll use a voice modulator on the Kaleo account. I could say that while I was in Asia, they stole my voice and completely changed it. Or I could just say that I recognized after doing what's it called? Whatever test everybody was doing, where I got the absolute worst score you possibly could for your voice. So after I realized that, ended up having to get a voice procedure done and completely redid everything. So, I mean, you never know what crazy things might happen um, here in a bit. But again, miss you guys. It was pretty cool seeing that there was still a space that y'all hosted. Even though I was not there on Friday, meant a lot. At the same time, though, again, going back through the history of all these spaces, we've missed a Friday before, but we've never missed a week. So there have been occasions where it's had to be pushed to Saturday or Sunday. It's not like it's a first time thing. No streak is broken. This is still number 83 straight consecutive of the Wonky Weekly Alpha Spaces. Let me pin something real quick because a couple things I want to go through. I'm just marking them all down before I forget. Um, one of the other things too is, dude, I'm so behind on everything NFL wise this season after being in Asia the past 2 weeks while the NFL season got kicked off. So I'm completely clueless. I don't want to say clueless, but yeah, I am just not where I typically would be as far as just being up with everything going on. But I don't know, man. I quit doing the NFL stuff a few years ago. I watch it. I love football, but quit doing the fantasy league side of things because I just realized I never really had a passion for NFL football until I started playing fantasy, and then it completely consumed my Sundays. Started consuming, my Thursday, Saturday, Monday, whatever, too, which I mean, great and all, gave me something else that I enjoyed watching, but at the same time, it was just so much wasted time for something I really didn't care too much about. But yeah, anyway, so like I enjoy watching it now. Just not, I can't really keep up and spit out every statistic from every single player on every single team like I used to back in the day. Shoot, we got the legend joining me up on stage. I appreciate it, man. I didn't know if I was ever going to have anybody up here until I got I, I assumed it would happen as soon as you missed the first part. So I misplaced my phone and my luggage, and I have been just working on finding it. Finally found it right as the space started, but it takes however many minutes, I guess in this case, 9 minutes for it to finally turn on. So finally about to get the Kaleo account up here also.
Let's go, baby. Welcome back home, man. It's great to hear your voice. You sound super exhausted, but I'm sure that exhaustion was well worth every fucking second, man. So welcome back, and we missed you, brother.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. I mean, yeah, like, heck, you're acting like I was completely gone the past. I missed the Friday space, but 80s. I was saying, like, there have been a couple Fridays that I missed in the past, but I mean, we've done Saturdays, we've done Sundays, like we've never missed a week. So it's not like this is unprecedented to end up doing this on a Sunday instead of a Friday. Like there are occasional times where it's had to happen. I was just hyped whenever I saw that you guys still hosted one and kept going either way.
Yeah, BTC came with he carried the vibes for us Friday night, and shout out to him. He did a phenomenal job hosting. I think it's like a hidden talent. I've been trying to encourage him to get back up there. But yeah, man, 83 weeks consecutive, no matter what it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday at, prime time, 5 o'clock at night. Doesn't matter. We're here.
Yes, sir. Puck, what's going on, man? Welcome up.
What's up, my guy? We missed you. Just wondering, when you were gone, a lot of people declared NFTs worthless, and I just want to know if there's still a scene that exists and what you did in Singapore.
Yeah, sorry. I've got two phones up and running, and they were echoing, so I didn't want to have any reverb during that. Basically, I think you just said that NFTs are worthless. That's all I heard. Like
Yeah,
that.
when you were gone, it was kind of declared all over Twitter and the internet that NFTs are now worthless, and it was all a scam. And I just want to know if there's still a scene that exists out there.
Well, did you see my tweet earlier today?
He's actively looking at it.
I was gonna say, funny enough, like check the last tweet, bro.
The inevitable stonks.
Okay, I guess the last,
No,
the
man,
last couple tweets.
TikTok.
One of the last tweets outside of that, if you scroll down a tiny bit more, the Barstool Sports video, right, where he just goes through the whole line of NFTs being completely dead. Yeah, man. I mean, NFTs are dead. Sure. Like, that's perfect. I love that. Anytime that you see these type of just tombstones that start popping up over the internet where people are taking laps and parading around about, man, like, it was fun, but they're gone. They're completely dead. They're never coming back. Dude, that's usually again where it is the Pico bottom. So that hypes me up. Like again, if it ends up being exactly today, or if it's a couple weeks from now, or even a couple months from now, I mean, dude, we are at the bottom for NFTs. I am fully confident of that.
It's interesting to hear, like, that news come out. Whatever, it's just a distraction. This bullshit. We all know that, but it's also interesting to the reality of it, because we've been saying that for a couple of years now. 99% of NFT projects are going to go to zero. We've always known that. That's always been inevitable. I think but the core projects that have stuck around in the bear market continue the vibes, continue the community, just continue building. Those are that 5% that are still here. I mean, it is inevitable.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though, man. I mean, it was interesting with the circles that I ran around in Asia as well. So there were a lot of traders. And the funny thing is, a lot of traders still just don't really, they still don't really believe in NFTs. And I think it's one of those things where we are still going to see this there's this mass wave of people who are familiar with NFTs, but still just can't buy into the concept of them. And I'm like, it's one of those things though that it's going to happen regardless, right? Like, there were the same type of graves and tombstones that people put up for all of the ICOs that happened back in 2017, beginning of 2018, right? Like that same narrative has been recycled over and over again in this space. Anytime there's a new up and coming scene and you see a ton of quote unquote death in it, where, you see these projects that end up declining in value 90+% across the board. It just happens. People come out and they celebrate it and they say, like, whenever something's down that much, it's a lot easier to say, man, it's never going to come back, than taking the time to really look into it and understand the reasons for why it will come back and why it's going to come back, come back stronger. So, I'm hyped about it, man, again, because, like, if this is what the absolute death of NFTs looks like, I think the stonks are still doing pretty dang good, considering, the quote unquote death that's in the air. And if this is what the bottom feels like, man, I'm hyped for the run up.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You mentioned something too. It's like, the general public, and even talking about, your trader friends. When you mention NFTs, it's almost sometimes, immediate reaction is kind of cringe at the same time. And I think we've always talked about this. I think we've been talking about this for 2 years now. It's like, once people understand, I think, beyond just the functioning of getting an NFT, like making it seamless for a user to not even know they're actually getting a fucking NFT. I think that's always been and always has been one of my biggest selling points on that, perspective of it.
Puck.
Can you hear me? Hello? Oh, my bad. It's crazy how much hate there is towards NFTs. Like, it's just people don't understand it, right? Like, one of my favorite artists released an album a few weeks ago, and he put it on like an NFT platform, and people lost their fucking minds. Like, longtime fans saying like they're never gonna listen to him again and stuff. Like, you can stream the album completely free, and you can choose to buy the NFTs if you want, and people lost their minds. It's like a free album. You don't have to participate if you don't want to in buying the NFTs. But it's just so weird. Like, he finally got paid a ton of money. He's an underground rapper, and he got paid a shitload of money. And I know, like, Apple Music and all that stuff, they don't get paid anything. It's like, don't people want their favorite artists to start getting paid properly? And, like, it's just so strange to me. And I know gamers hate NFTs more than anything as well.
Also, it's like, this is the first true bear market for an NFT market. Like, if you look at other cycles in the crypto market, even before it was like really mainstream, people talk shit about that all the time. And then, you saw a massive influx of adoption. But, we haven't had that next chance for a cycle yet in the NFT market.
Yeah, and that's going to be what comes. And the way that I sold it to on, like, this is my philosophy as far as for the majority of NFTs. It always has been, and I think it will be continuing into the next one. When it comes to buying NFTs from last cycle, I'm the most bullish on art projects, just because I think that art is something that's transcendent. It's a slower grind, slower build. It is what it is, right? Like, people appreciate it or they don't. As far as utility projects, I think that, you want to look for whatever the new hot thing is, because there's going to be something that always does it better. Somebody that replaces whatever narrative. There are going to be new narratives, new tech, new whatever else. So, it's going to pop up, right? Like, I'm not sure exactly what the catalyst is going to be at the end of the day to be able to breathe life back into the market. But, I'm extremely confident there is going to be a catalyst, right? Whether it's some new tech innovation, it might be. I think that comes along with the ride. Whatever it is, though, man, again, it's going to happen, right? Like, it's it's the same type of thing. Again, like what you were talking about, Matt, with the ICO craze back in the day. Nobody thought that we were going to see the wave of DeFi shitcoin summer like what we did in 2020. The meme coin waves that we've had since then. What's been built upon each L1 ecosystem that's not named ETH since then. We've just seen an evolution in terms of both categories of shitcoins, as well as the overall applications, the overall communities that have been built around them, that a lot of people thought was never going to happen, right? Nobody envisioned exactly what 2020 through 2022 was going to look like perfectly until it happened. And I think it's the same thing with the NFT marketplace. Again, there are a lot of people that are putting tombstones up, and it's going to be laughable looking back on this. So, the more that you see people start to parade around in the success of their triumph of saying, "Ha, I told you so," the more confident I am that we're close to the bottom.
I did want to pick your brain. I'm sure a lot of people want to hear it too, man. Give us some highlights of your trip, brother. Give us the TA of the week.
Oh man, it was a good time. First and foremost, I think Singapore is a great city for a Westerner to go over to for the first time in Asia. It really helps that everybody truly does. English is the primary language there, which helps a ton. So Hong Kong was also incredible, which, I need to write a, thank you tweet also to the Crypto Dog just for his incredible hospitality that he and his partner had this last week for me, where, they put me up in their home for the week, convinced me to come stay with them, and just showed me around like a local, which was incredible. Got to do a lot of fun things there. And a lot of people speak English in Hong Kong, but I wouldn't say nearly as well as Singapore. It's still not the primary language, at least on, like, here's the difference. If you go to the island side, everybody there speaks it much better than they do on the, across over on the peninsula side. And the peninsula side is more like where the locals live. The island side is more Western, like where a lot of the business is done. So yeah, I don't know, man, too many crazy things, but met a lot of really cool people in the space, a lot of really cool projects that I'm excited about. Got a lot of research to do on a lot of different things that people brought up. And as well, met a bunch of different VCs, met a bunch of just different random people that are plugged into the space that have different projects they're working on, that overall, man, it's just seeing everybody's hustle really is inspirational. So I'm excited to get back, dive into things, and yeah, man, like definitely missed the grind, but at the same time was doing a different kind of work, just more in real life stuff. But it was really, really healthy, recharging. So
I love that, man.
So yeah, man. What about you? I mean, how's everything been with the new casa? Are you guys unwind? I mean, have you guys got moved in back?
Yeah, we're settled in. We're loving it. Loving being back here in South Tampa, and got the water all around me. It's been just great to wake up in the morning, go watch the sunrise on Bayshore, go watch the sunset on Titanic Island. It's just so good for my mental health, just overall vibe, just starting the day off with that, and kind of just being back in, like, I don't know how else to describe it, but it's like almost like culture, because I was out in the suburbs for so long and it was slowly fucking killing me, man. And it's just to be back here with some of the old vibes, the historic vibes of Tampa. It's nice, man, and we are definitely loving it. I did want to ask you though, so do you think, like, being exposed to that in real life, in that area where obviously it's thriving, this sector in particular is thriving over there, do you feel like somebody that is wanting to get a little bit more in touch with, like, the networking side, do you think that they still have the advantage of, like, actually moving there, Kaleo, compared to still doing it via a Zoom call or Messenger or whatever? Do you feel like it's more advantageous for a person to be there in that environment?
You mean move to where the action is, or move
Yeah.
Asia specifically?
Yeah, move where the action is.
Okay. Because I think the action is different just depending on where you go, right? Like, one thing that really did impress me was just the energy at Token 2049 when I actually went the one day I went. Outside of that, went to a bunch of the different events that were surrounding it. But there just felt like there was a deeper level of energy at that conference than what I saw even at the peak of the bull market at either Bitcoin Miami or Consensus. Um, Bro, people in Asia are hyped about Bitcoin. And one of the things I learned, and I guess I should have known this more, I think part of it's crypto is the perfect marriage of cultural relevancy and degenerate habits for the Asian community. You know, I thought one of the funniest things in Hong Kong, one of their all-time greatest hits that every single person knows, it's this movie called God of Gambler. I had never heard of God of Gambler, right? Apparently late 80s, early 90s, just this legendary movie where the guy has these gambling superpowers. And everybody wanted to be or wants to be God of Gambler growing up. And you know, I just thought it was the funniest thing in the world because I can't think of any movies where it was that intense of everybody just believing, you know, that they could be this incredible. I mean, the fact that that was like the movie that I had to watch said a lot to me just about the gambling culture itself over, you know, in that part of the world. And when you look at crypto, does give an on ramp for people to kind of get that fix a little bit in a different way. But at the same time of that, like, it's new, it's exciting. It has this, you know, the tech element that I think gambling doesn't really have so much of. So I think that it really is an interesting synergy as far as kind of the cultural relevancy also with the tech. And I don't know, man, again, it was just, it was really refreshing just being around a place that had a bunch of energy in the space. So I think that it's worth it to make it out to events like that. I could definitely see why it could be worthwhile living in an area like that if you're trying to make things happen. Um, but do I think it's absolutely necessary? No. But do I think that it is absolutely necessary, or if you want to really build something and, you know, kind of make a name for yourself in the space, to at least try to attend a few events each year? Absolutely, yes.
You know, and the reason why I ask you that too is because we look at things that we're absorbed with, you know, the echo chamber that we're in, and certain environments play a big impact on how we, you know, perceive some of those echo chambers that we float in from time to time. And being in that environment, I know anytime I've been to a convention here in the States, you know, I get a whole different vibe than I do on the timeline, right? Because you're around that, you're absorbing that bullish energy, you know, that up only energy. But actually, like, being there and living there, being absorbed in it, I can just imagine that you wouldn't be able to really have the time to take in all the negative bullshit that you see on the timeline, all the people that say, you know, 95% are worthless and this, that, and the other, it's all going to zero. You wouldn't have that same mentality. So it's just, I wanted to point that out because just be mindful of, like, where we're putting our time and energy and what we're consuming to make our ultimate decisions.
Yeah. I mean, from your perspective, from the NFT events that you go to, what is your feeling toward that? Do you ever feel like you need to move somewhere to be able to really dive in and increase that experience? Or do you think that making it just to kind of the level of what you've done so far, that's good enough? What's your take?
Well, it all has to do with intention, right? And what I intend to do in this space, I'm okay where I'm at, right? I can still fly to wherever I need to. But if I'm, like, really dialed in, like a majority of my peers are in this space, I would think it would be a little bit more advantageous for you to go to that environment, especially if you're trying to build something. especially if you're trying to innovate something, just being there in that ecosystem and just that environment of just, that energy, like you had mentioned, I would imagine it would up your, efficiency and productivity 100-fold, just because your mental health is all aligned with that as well.
Yeah, that's fair. The one thing that I saw that could potentially be a lot is just I could also see it being pretty exhausting. But at the same time, I don't know if it would be that much different than just working at some other corporate job in any other city where you've got multiple other businesses that are in the same industry that you've met through networking. That's just fast paced because that's all it is. I think even in the heart of the bear market, just seeing how much was happening as far as the innovation, the deal flow, like that type of stuff that was still in the works in the background. I could see how it could be a lot. But again, I think it really goes back to what you said as far as your intentions. I think that it also really helps being where I am, having a little bit of those connections kind of built in, where if I want to reach out and meet a lot of these different people, I have an easier barrier of entry to be able to do that. But, there's some people that may not have the same platform that I do that may want to make some of those connections. And I think in that case, if you really are fully committing to building your brand and, getting plugged in and trying to make those connections, yeah, being there in person is going to give you light years advantage over the competition to be able to do that. So, yeah, like it all just depends on your aspirations and your situation. Um, so, dude, I thought
You answered it. You answered it for sure. It was more so for like a thought provoking thing for the audience as well, just because I've noticed over the past week or a couple weeks, it's tribal mentality. When everybody says it's zero, everybody's, thinking it's going to zero. So sometimes just changing up our environments may be helping us. So.
Yeah, man. All right. Before I move on to the next thing, because I got a couple other things I wanted to talk to you about. Uncle Bush, what's up, man? See your hand up.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Sorry if this was talked about already. I just joined. But on the topic of innovation with NFTs, are there any new use cases that you guys see happening and specifically tied to institutions? So I'm looking for, the next evolution beyond just profile pictures or images tied to tokens, but I struggle to find these innovations. If you could just talk about, what you see on the horizon, that'd be great. Thanks for taking my question.
The most innovative thing that I can think of right now would be something along the lines still of what XNFT backpack has, what they're working on as far as NFTs as being an executable program. So basically, you can design a game, right? Write out the code for it, have the program for that game exist, or a protocol, whatever the heck it is, and you package it all up as an NFT. And now, if you want to be able to sell that off, you potentially can sell off that protocol rather than just having an image or whatever else it is. It's just a different type of content that's being integrated in the form of an NFT, which, I think is a little bit of a different concept than kind of the art meta and the Web2 partnership having a stake in IP type of meta than what we've seen from the last cycle. But I haven't really seen anybody actually, and maybe this is just me being ignorant and I'm not as plugged in as I should be, but I haven't really seen it put into practice yet as far as any big launches of anything in that category. So I think that could be an interesting development. And I think it's one example of something that's a little bit different than, what we've really seen in the headlines so far this last cycle. So, yeah, hopefully that answers the question, man. I mean, I again, there are a lot of other potential things that are out there, but that's just one interesting example. Matt, what'd you think of that Jack Butcher tweet up there? Dude, it
Dude, I
really
didn't know if you were like making moves in Singapore or something, and I was just like, I didn't know what the fuck's going on, but I love to see it, brother.
Hey, I mean, you know what I love about it? Is it officially a Wonky Stonks collab? You tell me. You tell me. But I love to see people out there like Jack, who's been one of these bear market heroes that recognize charts as art.
Yep, they are, baby.
More validation, man.
It is more validation, and I think it was just a couple weeks apart from just seeing the one on the pandas as well too. So definitely loving seeing the love out there,
bro.
for
But the
charts.
pandas one really does look exactly like the LedgArt.
To a fucking T.
Yeah, it's the exact same color too. The pandas one is the LedgArt logo, so. Yeah, like that. I don't care if they don't put it as a Wonky Stonks themed glasses or whatever the heck it is. That's a Wonky Stonks theme, integration they put in there.
You love to see it, man. You love to see it, dude. So fuck, you still there, or you bailed on us, or what? What's going on?
Still where? In Asia?
No, Puck. Is he still on stage or what?
No, Puck bailed.
Oh, he's on my screen. His little purple bars are still talking. I didn't know if I was talking over him.
I'm here.
He was not here. He was not on stage. There's
no, I
no
left
way.
the stage, but I wasn't speaking, so made some room.
Well, tell me, is Philly made some room, bro? What are you talking about? There are 4 people up here, so like we could fit at least 12 on the stage. So tell me, who's winning today, though, Philly or Baker Mayfield?
Baker ain't playing today. Tomorrow.
Oh, is it tomorrow? Is it Monday night?
Yeah,
Again,
Monday night. Yeah.
What did I say at the very beginning of this space? I guess you were gone. I'm
was.
out of the loop with everything NFL right now, especially after coming back the past couple weeks, bro. I'm so unplugged. Well, okay, who's winning tomorrow? But
definitely Baker, baby. There's no stopping that train going on right now.
And that's why I'm asking, because we've got up on stage with me, we've got Philly versus Tampa.
You know what's funny is Pick God, he texted me a couple days ago. He was like, "Man, can you give me some tickets?" I was like, "Not for a Monday night, brother. Sorry."
Wait, who's Philly?
Shoot, Puck. I always get you confused and think you're Philly too. I thought you were part of the Philly crew.
I couldn't live with that. I'm a Detroit guy, Lions guy.
Oh shoot, man! I always thought that you were Philly.
Oh man, I've never been so offended in my life.
Oh shit.
Well, we've got Crow in the stage. Pick God has been up here, so there's still some Philly representation in the audience. Still a big game as far as the Stonks community. I'm going for Tampa. I'm just gonna say it
all day, man. I'm not gonna take full credit for this, but on my way back from Denver, when I went there for the Psychedelics conference, I flew back, and guess who sat right next to me the entire flight? Baker Mayfield. And I had a great conversation with him. We talked about life, and I gave him some motivation, and I told him to do fucking good this year, and I think I gave him some of that energy, man. I'm not trying to take credit for him, but it was an amazing meeting, and now to see him just killing it is fucking great.
Oh, I love that, man. Dude, one of my good buddies was in a bachelor party with him recently. They were in the same bachelor group. So I thought that was pretty cool. He, again, he just said really down to earth dude, good guy.
Yeah, really down to earth. No one even recognized who the hell he was. I barely even recognized him when we sat down. Like, holy shit, you're Baker Mayfield.
And this is before the start of the season, right?
Before the start of the season, man. It was,
but I mean, he'd already made his way to Tampa. Obviously, I'm assuming you guys.
I think he was there to sign his. I think he was flying there to sign his shit. Honestly,
really?
Yeah, he wouldn't go like too far into it because it was before it was like really, really announced. But yeah.
Dude, that's a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. And some of the guys were just talking over the weekend. BTC, B-Ways, a couple others. I think Crow's coming too. They're all making their way out to Vegas. So you're slacking. Just saying.
Bro, me and Vegas I'm sorry. I hate Vegas with a passion. Like, I really do. I love you, man, but I hate Vegas.
Are you at least going to make it to Art Basel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Art Basel is like, it's not 100, it's 99% sure, at this point. So Art Basel's should be happening, and like bar something crazy happening before then. So Art Basel's in the works. And yeah, that's my next big conference that I've got planned right now after everything. So, Token 2049, that was more of the other side of things. The crypto bros knocked that out. Art Basel, more of the NFT side of things. But, I will say this, that was one of the other cool things, meeting up with Luca and Farouk and a few of those guys for lunch that day. Really cool getting to meet and hang out in person. Luca, great guy, as good in person. I mean, not better in person as Twitter. So it was just really funny, the whole situation, getting to hang out with him, man. I ran like 2 miles to make it even happen, and I didn't have to run at all. I was just so confused at where I was with the directions of how to get to the place that yeah, ended up working out. But um, bullish on him, bullish on Farouk and the Rug Radio guys, bullish on the space in general.
Every time I meet up with people, I always get even more bullish. I actually just met another Wonky member yesterday. Actually, met him for lunch down in Sarasota, an absolute legend, as they all are. And it's not a level like flying across the world to meet people, but still having these little encounters. And I've been doing this now for 2 years. I mean, Kaleo, you were one of the first people I met. And just to be able to do that is a blessing for us, like to be able to converge in the space and then just like have that in real life energy, because it's so much grander than what we just see as a PFP or on text or even in a space. Like exchanging that energy, man, is next level shit. And we should all be grateful for that opportunity that we even have to do that right now.
Yeah, being grateful for it. It's not easy. Again, especially in this type of a market. um, but I really think that's what makes some of these different conferences and events more special, is because as crazy as some of these events may still feel in the midst of the bear market, just because of how much the space as a whole has grown the past 4 years, dude, they are going to feel 10 times crazier during the bull market. So, there's just something special about the connections that you make with these people that right now that will really cement themselves that much more here in a couple of years when everything is just up only again.
Yeah, big party. Big fucking party.
So, yeah, man. I mean, again, came back from this whole past couple of weeks, super recharged about the space, pumped about everything going forward. You know, actually, here's one thing that I didn't say anything about, but I thought it was pretty cool. Wore my Wonky Stonks swim trunks to the pool where there were a bunch of guys that were hanging out for, just the that were there with Bybit at the same hotel. And every single person complimented the Stonks swim trunks. So everybody likes the vibe of it, man. I mean, had a lot of good conversations. There were some guys that were up there that, if they didn't own a stonk, they knew very well what the stonks were. So, and dude, one other thing too that I'm going to say that I think is pretty interesting right now, seeing how ETH is kind of flowing on the Friend Tech side of things. What it shows me is, dude, there's ETH that's out there that, think about how few ETH it really takes to sweep stonks like up to where we were. It doesn't take much, right? So there are people that are dumping ETH on FredTech. There's stuff that's moving out there on that side of things. You know, a little bit, just a little bit is all it takes to really get things kicked off on the NFT side. And again, I think we're closer to seeing that than than I guess videos like what we saw from the Barstool Sports guy really believe. So it's coming, man. It's coming.
I love the bullishness. I feel like you're channeling your inner B ways right now. He's been channeling his inner Kaleo all weekend, so it feels kind of nice. We're all aligned. Everything's good.
Love it, man. Well, I've got a lot of stuff that I'm still knocking out coming back from the post jet lag, the post 2 week unpack. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, but really appreciate you joining, man. Amazing hanging out as always. Puck, thanks for coming up. Great hanging out with another Philly person. And yeah. Thanks to everybody else that's in the audience. Thanks again to all the guys that kept the vibes going on Friday. Shout out BTC Art. We'll be back here. Should be Friday this next week. For week number 84 coming up here in just a bit. So we will see y'all next time. Wonky Stonks are inevitable.
Much love, brother. Much love, audience. Have a great one.